Many metalheads have asked themselves the question, what is the grimmest, truest, most frostbitten album of 1994? Today we answer that question with this top 5. Black metal is a bit of an acquired taste, but the heaviest show in the universe is not, so if you have an awesome taste in music, go down below, sauce me one of these bad boys, smash that subscribe button for me. If you love in-depth album reviews, discussion, and theories about the greatest genre of music in the entire universe. 1994 was like the year for black metal, with so many legendary releases from so many bands. So it would be wrong not to include some honorable mentions before we dive into the wizardry of black metal. First up, we have Burzum's Vis Leset tar oss, which I probably completely butchered, but in Norwegian, it means if the light takes us. There are some decent riffs on here, but the vocals are complete trash, even for black metal standards, so yeah. As well, we have Enslaved with Frost. A great album, but it holds so many different influences within the album that make it much more than just a black metal album. I didn't feel too comfortable putting it on this list. As well, we have SATYRICON's Dark Medieval Times, which is great, but not as good as these other albums on the list. And of course, I suppose we should mention Dimmu Borgir's first release, For All Tid, and Samael's Ceremony of Opposites. With that out of the way, let's get to number 5. Gorgoroth's first release shows why they would become quite synonymous with black metal. Like, when people think of black metal, they think of Gorgoroth. This album is blatantly satanic and doesn't hold anything back, much like most black metal bands of this age. There are some absolutely killer drum beats in here with some really head-bopping riffs. The vocals and production are prototypical black metal, but this is a pretty enjoyable listen when the package is all together. At times, it can be hard to get past how high-pitched and shrieked the vocals are, but other than that, this is a fantastic black metal album all around. This album is probably the best sounding and best produced on this list. Well, this is black metal, so that's not saying too much, but this album sounds pretty damn good. They added this really cool orchestral proponent in the back that propels the epicness of this album way higher than others on this list. It's much more symphonic than everything else on this list we're going to talk about, save for maybe one album. And the intro to Woods into Eternity is exactly what makes black metal so friggin' sick when it wants to be. The vocals here aren't too high-pitched and are more of a black metal growl like Darkthrone than the shrieks of Burzum or Gorgoroth. This is one of the better black metal albums that I would show someone who wanted to be introduced to black metal. And probably I would choose this one over a few of the others on this list. Let's get to number 3. Alright, so that opening riff from the title track of the album should explain on its own how awesome this album is. It's so eerie and spine-chilling. It makes you feel like you're stepping into a horror movie about Dracula. And that's what black metal is all about. Vibe, an atmosphere, an attitude. And it doesn't matter how lo-fi shit the production is because of the atmosphere that's delivered with it. This whole album feels like a trip into a grim forest that's haunted by the spirit of Euronymous or something. It's pretty sick, but it's definitely not an easy listen. But the impact this album had on black metal for years to come is undeniable, and the fantastic thrash-esque riffing is off the charts. The only thing that keeps this a bit lower than the next two albums is the lack of those stick rock and roll drum beats that you heard on the first few Darkthrone albums that I love about black metal, and also the production quality. It might be the worst out of all of these albums on the list, but that's the point of the music. Released in 1994 after Samuth and old black metal wizard extraordinaire Varg Vikernes burned down a church, In the Nightside Eclipse is one of the best black metal albums ever released. And it's not hard to see why. The orchestral arrangements were highly influential and the first of its kind along with SATYRICON in the black metal scene, pushing black metal into its more epic territory. The production here is pretty damn solid as well, and the guitars give off a death metal denseness in their tone. It's really cool. But it's not quite number one of the year. Come on, this is likely the best black metal album of all time, so how could it not be number one on this list? What truly sets this album apart from the others, other than its cleaner production, is the vocal delivery. This album took many years to complete for many reasons that I went into in a different video. And the result is a grueling black metal epic that has tons of fantastic riffs, beauty drum beats that will keep you grooving, and a vocal performance that is reminiscent of an epic black metal opera. This album is black metal genius, and it holds its weight against many classic albums in metal. Not to mention all the history behind it that makes it even more fantastic of an epic story. All the history of Norwegian black metal stems from the dudes who wrote and recorded this album over the years of 1987 to 1994, and it shows. Not only is this the best black metal album of 1994, but it's probably the best black metal album of all time. Alright, I am prepared to get shelled by black metal wizards from across the internet for my poser opinions in the comments below. That's the way she goes. If you don't think I'm a poser, go down below, sauce me one of these bad boys, and smash that subscribe button, and let me know what albums that I should have included in this list, or maybe albums on the list that should be higher up or lower on the list. Until next time, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Long live metal.